Welcome back, everyone. New World Fantasy Football, episode 24. We got some serious topics to talk about today. But
What's
I would
up,
like to introduce,
people? What's happening?
my man, Mr. Veto Corleone, my cousin Veto. He's here today. His name's Paul. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. I see you're not going to bury the lead of our debatable topic today. We do need to start, like we always start, with a quick vibe check.
We'll vibe check it.
How are your vibes, bro?
My fantasy vibes are not great. In my main league, 1-4, been rough. Aaron Jones decided, maybe he didn't decide it, but what happened with Aaron Jones was terrible. I barely had a pivot option, and that was the great Jaden Reed and the Packers offense who wasn't able to do anything. It would have been really nice to have Aaron Jones. I would have given myself a shot to win my crappy team. Unfortunately, I put up another dud. I'm the lowest scoring team in the league. So you might as well just click an X on this tab or watch another video because I'm horrible. And then in another league, my second most important league, the one that I commission, I lost Justin Jefferson. So yeah, good times, man. Good times.
We'll talk more about him in the news. Obviously, it was a shitty week for injuries, but obviously
a lot of them
highlighted the shitty week of Jay Jettas, and as bad of an injury it is, some of the surrounding news about it is even worse. But we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, how about your vibes, man?
My vibes are good. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to dance on your grave here, but I went 3-0 in my leagues. I'm feeling pretty good. One of the leagues, yes, I won, but did I really? I'm not very good in that league. I'm a Joe Burrow manager. I went for Chris Olave early, Jahmyr Gibbs early. Obviously, Nick Chubb was really good, and then we all know what happened there. So even though I won, I still don't feel like I've got the horses in that league. But my other two leagues, I'm feeling pretty decent. I'm feeling pretty strong about it. So vibes are high.
Right, and that league that you squeaked by with a Romeo Dobbs, basically almost goose.
The pseudo goose. I loved it.
So you won by 2 points where Romeo Dobbs needed a 3.5 points or something to beat you, and didn't happen.
3.4 if I'm not mistaken.
3.4, yeah. So
it's we're not here to name any names, but if you dance on graves and you chirp people about their fantasy injuries and their bad luck, I'm not a superstitious man. I'm a little stitious, but I'm not superstitious, except when it comes to the fantasy gods. They are real and they are hateful. If you challenge them, they will smite you.
And yes, it doesn't end well when you dance on somebody's grave, and especially when you're so quick about, oh, your player got hurt. That's so messed up. I think I don't know, that crosses the line. But we have a big talk.
Don't challenge them fantasy gods. Don't do it. They'll get you.
They will. We got a big topic to talk about today. It's a serious one, and I think there's a big picture when it comes to this topic. We're going to talk about vetoes and really the proper etiquette or just ways to go about dealing with trades and vetoing and balance of the league and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and make my case. I don't like vetoing. I don't necessarily believe it should be completely out of the picture. There are cases to be made for it and against it. I think having a veto process is fine, but it really does need to be set at a point where the overwhelming majority of the league has to have an issue with the trade, because trades are so subjective and it's difficult to project things. That's the whole nature of this fantasy football game, and we're wrong probably more often than we're right. And the same goes for trades, but for some reason, when a trade is involved, people think they're Nostradamus, and that's just not the truth. So that's my first argument against, vetoing.
So I guess when you say you're making an argument against vetoing, you're just saying that people shouldn't veto based on their opinion of the trade. What should they veto based off of?
I think that if you can realistically make a case as to why this trade was accepted, there's no reason to veto. I also think that we need to have faith in each other as fantasy players. If you have an experienced league, let these grown people make their own decisions. It shouldn't take the whole league to be put on their police caps and decide, well, you don't know what's best for your own team. Even if you don't initially like the trade, there are trades that happen that at first glance look terrible for one side and great for another side, and it doesn't end up that way. So I think we need to be a little bit more respectful of our league mates and say, hey, they can handle it on their own. The only exceptions I make is obvious collusion, number one, or complete malpractice and ignorance. If you've got, my wife's friend who's filling in a spot, who barely watches football, and talked to Tom once at the barbecue and liked him and was like, hey, yeah, if you want to give me, I guess I'll take like Christian McCaffrey, but I mean, I can give you Michael Gallup. I guess I don't want to give him up. I mean, that kind of complete lopsidedness. But I think we just need to have faith in each other and trust that this game is not cut and dry. Things change every week. So if that answers your question, I think it does.
Yeah, it does. And those are all completely reasonable points. And I'm going to have to put on the hat of, I guess, dissent here. Andrew called me Veto Corleone earlier. I am pro veto, I guess you should say. I don't think either of us are completely anti the veto system. I think really what we're debating is, what is it really meant for? What is the spirit behind vetoing? When should you veto? When should you not veto? Ultimately, you have to have a veto system to protect against collusion, against all the other, things. But I also think that there is competitive balance questions that have to be taken into account. And it's a competition league. No, we're not prognosticators. We don't know the future. We don't know exactly how every trade is going to work. But at its core, fantasy football is all prediction. We often fail at those predictions. But the whole point is you have to make predictions. You predict who you think is going to score the most on a weekly basis, who is most likely, who's more consistent, right? And those are the players that generally get started in your lineup and are the locked and loaded everyday starters. Michael Gallup may outscore C-Mac at some point in the season. I doubt it, but it could possibly conceivably happen. But of course, that's not what good process and logical follow-through would dictate, right? So to me, I think vetoing for reasons of, hey, I think this is just an unbalanced trade, or I think this team is like way overpowered now and getting way better, and I don't think they're giving up enough to justify the player that they've given. That's one veto. I don't think any person, like, I know some leagues do the league manager veto. Like, I guess that's fine in some scenarios. Like, if you really want your manager to be in charge of that. I personally don't like it because I don't think one person, like you made a point earlier that it's like, hey, you can't make a decision for your league mates. I shouldn't make a decision for my league mate. I shouldn't be able to tell them who to trade for or who not to trade for. But your league as a collective, I think absolutely can. If there's two people involved in a trade and there's 8 remaining people in the league. If 6 of those 8 people all think that it's an unbalanced trade, I would venture a guess that it's probably an unbalanced trade at its core. Now, could it work out completely differently? Could one player blow up their ACL? Like, absolutely. There's, obviously that stuff happens all the time. People just have bad years. You can't predict it. But the same way that we have to follow the process when it comes to setting our lineups and drafting our teams and everything else, I think there's a following the process with trades too.
Okay, and then I get what you're saying, and there is a point. You're making a good point, but like you said, also the whole game in its nature is about predictions. So shutting down a trade means that you're taking away basically both teams involved in that trade are making a prediction based off of that trade and saying, hey, I think rest of season in a redraft, we'll just use that example, that X player is going to end up outscoring Y player. And on the other side, that other manager is saying, well, I think the opposite. So now we're taking away their ability to make that prediction and, put the player they actually want on their team. And then there are other things where trades aren't always made in a vacuum, where you may have a player who's full on, Owen Wilson, and they're like, wow, yeah. And, another team who's undefeated, and they might need different things where, okay, I can kind of give up some points now for a playoff push because I feel very confident that I'm gonna make the playoffs, and I believe in this player come playoff time. I like their schedule or whatever. And the other player's like, well, I just need to make the playoffs. So give me a few players that are producing now. And in a vacuum, that might look like a bad trade, but it could end up being a really good trade for both teams. I don't think that we should have so much confidence and hubris that we know every trade that's going to work out and which side it's going to work out for. That's something I have an issue with. And I like having freedom in the league. And I also just, the last point I'm going to make about it, fantasy football is truly, I know it doesn't feel this way all the time, but it really is supposed to be about having fun with and keeping you engaged in football and like enjoying the games on a level where it's not just background noise, So I think that trades make leagues fun, and they don't make them fun when it's extremely unbalanced or it's collusion. That's true. But it's fun to see how, well, man, like, who would you rather have right now? Like, honestly, you may not answer the way I'm trying to project it to you, but there's a real world for this right now. Somebody might rather have Adam Thielen and not Garrett Wilson right now. Before the season started, everyone would have said, you are a freaking crazy asshole. What are you talking about? And it would make sense to think that.
Fantasy football
right
is
now,
so weird.
Adam Thielen is more valuable than Garrett Wilson. So if somebody made that trade after week 1, you'd be like, no, trade, veto. And we would have been wrong,
Yeah, that's completely true. And again, I think that we're going to leave this to the audience to decide, what side of the fence that they stand on. You make very strong points, and I think that sometimes there can be a point, even in the very best leagues, where the trust tree kind of dies and people get a little too veto happy. Have I been part of that? Yes, I have. Hand up. I don't veto every trade, but I am a little liberal with the vetoes. I think people that play with me know that. And it's not done from a petty place. It's not done from a, hey, F this manager specifically place or what have you. I wouldn't veto a trade that, like, let's just say, okay, Justin Jefferson potentially could stay out the whole year, right? That's worst case scenario. But somebody wants to take the risk on Justin Jefferson and gives a couple of like mid-level players to a team that's really struggling, that needs a couple wins now. Like, I really wouldn't veto that trade in real life because I can see the logic behind it. And I do like want to be a little nuanced and get it. Like, okay, this could work out really well for that manager, and that's why he's taking the risk. And I think he's taking an appropriate risk to do it. And like you said, the 5-0 versus 0-5 teams, right? But I do think that there is a place. This is a game. It is supposed to be fun. But you know what makes games fun? Competition. And there is a game theory for me that if I see a trade and I say, this team is already awesome, and now they're becoming awesomer, and I want to beat them, I don't want them to have that player. And to me, that's enough reason. I know that's not everybody, but to me, that's enough because we're all competing.
And I think therein lies like the debate right there, and it's how people feel about your reasoning for smashing the veto button. I don't like vetoing trades based off of, well, I'm now more scared of this team. I don't think that's right. So we'll leave it at that. And it's a good debate, and it'll be an ongoing debate for a long time in all fantasy leagues, I'm sure. If you're going to do a league manager or league commissioner veto system, well, you just have to have a very trustworthy commissioner who isn't going to give rules for thee and not for me.
Yeah, exactly.
If you have that kind of league,
you got to know your friends. You got to know your friends. There's some
are they really your friends between September and December? I don't know. But
it doesn't always feel like that. I love every single one of my friends. I would not, and you're listening right now. I would not trust all of you with the power of the veto, of the league manager veto. And I think in your heart, you know who you are.
Probably, but let's move on to actual football now, man. Let's talk about actual football, football games, I suppose, and how they are going to affect week 6.
Yeah, we should probably start talking about some fantasy football players, but I do think that was a worthwhile chat, absolutely, because especially for us, it was a hot button topic of the day. This was a totally shitty week for injuries, man. Obviously, we talked about Justin Jeff. I don't want to keep belaboring the point, but
yeah,
that's a big one. Obviously, a bad hamstring strain can put a guy down to IR. We kind of already expected that. Like, okay, you're going to be out 4 or 5 weeks, but now Schefter's coming out and talking about if the Vikings don't start winning games, they may just shut them down the whole season. And I usually trust Schefter, and this is panic button smash time for me.
Yeah. Personally, I'm not trading Justin Jefferson because there's really one simple reason for that. I feel like there's a good chance I can make the playoffs even without Justin Jefferson. I am not going to win the league, which is the ultimate goal. You know me, I will go for broke. I do not care. Trying to win. So I'm not going to trade Justin Jefferson out of fear he may not come back, because if he does come back, I want him for the playoff push. I do not want to see him on some other team that beats me in the championship because they have Justin Jefferson and I traded him away.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, there's game theories to this whole thing, right? You are in a situation where you're in a pretty good spot in that league, but there are some 2 and 3 teams out there. God forbid, some 1 and 4 teams out there, right? And they need production now to just try to make it to the playoffs, make it to the show, and see if they can variance their way to do it.
So,
is there anything that you could get for JJ right now, given that risk, that would make you feel good enough to pull the trigger?
I would need like a low end RB1 or like wide receiver 1. Like if you wanted to say, hey, I'll give you a Chris Olave straight up for Justin Jefferson right now. If I was under 500, it'd be something to consider.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of trade that needs to be allowed to be made based off circumstance,
I can't do that because I need all the wins I can get. So,
Right. You do have Chris Olave in that league. I didn't mean it in that way, but yeah. And then, okay, so we also got James Conner going down.
James Conner went down,
rough.
IR, bad vibes.
Bad vibes there. And, take the
Achane.
shot on one Keontae Ingram, who by all accounts is a garbage running back. DeMarcado, better name. DeMarcado is 5'9", 215 with speed. How is he undrafted, man? I don't get the NFL sometimes.
Dude, well, it's again devaluing running backs. And by the way,
but undrafted,
I have this as a debate topic for later, so we can put a pin in this. But I do want to talk about the Ingram versus DeMarcado, the kind of surprising news that it sounds like he's number one on the depth chart, but just to housekeep here and move us along.
Chart. Shit gets too much gets made of that.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like you said, it's a depth chart. He might get one snap and leave. Trav Kelce with an ankle, but it sounds like he'll be okay. He could even potentially play tomorrow night. You all in the future will know this by now. Achane, that's big time bad vibes.
Yeah, and it's an odd situation in Miami. Sucks because Achane was coming on extremely strong, looking like he was going to be the waiver wire pickup of the year. Honestly, still could be when he comes back. We'll see, but maybe it's still Puka. I don't know.
He's ridiculous. His per touch efficiency. I mean, it's not sustainable. There's no way it's sustainable. But he was sustaining it for a few weeks, and now you blew all your fab on him, and now what do you do? Are you messing around with JWJ?
I was offered him as part of a trade literally today, and I have Raheem Mostert, and I'm just like, I mean, it could be Mostert, it could be Jeff Wilson, it could be Saban Ahmed, it could be Chris Brooks. I mean, I don't think Mike McDaniel doesn't care. He's just like, which cheap running back is going to score for our team? He doesn't care. So
my guess is just look up the 40 times of everybody. They love the fastest players possible. He wants all speed all the time.
I think right now it's basically, okay, Jeff Wilson hasn't played. It's a new offense, I guess you could say, for the most part. God damn it. I get these people confused because they're all the same to me. Raheem Mostert is the one that's been there and he's produced. He needs to stop freaking fumbling, but he's been there, he's been producing. I don't see him getting usurped right away, if at all. It could be just more of a split when everybody's healthy. So yeah, I mean, Raheem Mostert's still leading the charge there, but by how much, I don't know.
Yeah, and Raheem Mostert is, to me, just incredible value and incredible production. And I'm not going to finish that sentence because I'm not going to wish bad upon the man or jinx him at all. I'm knocking on wood as we speak. You can't hear that. But just if I would take a look at JWJ, if you had Raheem Mostert and he's still hanging out on waivers, he's not back yet, I would consider taking a look at that. But I'm a little risk averse. That being said, Andrew, very quickly, because we had our debate topic earlier, but it's time that we put another team to rest this year. We're gonna go week by week, and as appropriate, it might not be every week, but we're at the point of the season where some teams, for fantasy purposes and for probably football purposes, start to die. And this week, Patriots.
Oh man, the Patriots don't. I can't bury them yet. They look like complete garbage in 2 games. Yes, I think there's a good chance sooner rather than later there's a QB change. Mac Jones,
Zappy?
Malik Cunningham's there. Do I think I don't think he's very good. I don't think any of them are very good, which is why they have to start Mac Jones right now. But I will say, why not throw a guy out there that might make your offense a little bit more of a wild card, a little bit more exciting?
Yeah, just give your offense like any kind of different element. But I'm actually surprised, man. That you have more confidence in me. I am ready to bury them personally. They're dead to me. Mac Jones sucks, but it's not all on him. Nobody, I don't think, has been wanting to talk about this for the last few years, but Billy B's losing his fastball. He's a pitcher that's losing his stuff. I know he's been a great coach. He's a legend, all of those things, but I'm just looking at where they're at right now.
Well,
They can't draft a skill position player to save their lives. Their offensive line is banged up, also kind of stinks. Their defense is not what it was. I know Judon's on the shelf, but it's all been bad. The drafting, the evaluation, like you cannot – how can you – all these teams draft these amazing rookie receivers that come in and transform their offenses. And we're looking at Tyquan Thornton and Kendrick Bourne. Get out of here, dude. Like, to me, break out
they drafted Kayshon Boutte, okay?
What's that?
They drafted Kayshon Boutte as well, okay?
Yeah, well, if he's on the Patriots, then he's going to be booty too. Break out the dancing pallbearers, man. They're done. And, you know, if it's – I don't know if this is sad violin worthy since we're not in agreement, but to me – I have my violin ready. It's oiled up, ready to go.
This is what I'm going to say. They
have 3 points in 2 games.
Yeah, I know they look like crap for 2 games, but teams can look like crap for 2 games and then turn it on. And no, are they going to be a great offense this year? Not at all. They don't have the QB. They don't have the skill position guys. No, but they can figure out a way to at least not be like bottom 5. I think that they can turn things around enough. And then you're taking your shot on who in fantasy? Well, Ramondre Stevenson, I guess. Devontae Parker, maybe. I think Juju's pretty much shown that he's washed up at this point and was a one-hit wonder. You know, good luck, but
I have a new list for Patriots starting fantasy players. Nobody. Nobody.
You write down Patriots starting players list and then just leave the rest of the page blank.
It's blank. But I just wanted to get that out there. I'm sad violin for the Patriots. It sounds like you're giving them a little bit of extra life. I just think their whole philosophy, the Patriots way, like it was the Brady way. They're dead. It's dead. Blow it up and start over. It's time.
Fair enough. All right, so do you want to start getting into week 6 games?
Yes, I am ready to get into week 6 games. I think we kind of wrapped up everything that was eating into my craw here.
Yeah.
And we're ready to go to this Thursday night game. We touched on a little bit. Travis Kelce. They don't use probable anymore, but it sounds like he's going to try to go. Obviously, yeah. There's always a concern. He may be limited. There's just always that. There's always that concern. But if Travis Kelce is out there, there is no question that he's in your
lineup. It's like
lineup.
You always say, what is there to be what actionable thing is there? None. Right. You're going to start Travis Kelce.
Yes.
I think my prediction for that is his normal 80-something% of snaps maybe comes down to 65, 70, but you better believe he's going to be in the red zone. So
yeah,
he should be okay.
Dude, I all I can really hope for is that Taylor Swift has healing magic in her body. And that he's back to 100%. That's what I'm hoping for.
Might be poison in her body. Who knows?
I certainly hope not, and you know why. So I'll kind of go through the game here. It's Denver at KC, 10.5 dogs with a 47.5 over under.
Yeah,
I don't think they're dogging them enough. I think it's I say that, but Kansas City, they're not firing on all cylinders yet. And we've talked about that,
They're
the last
not.
few
They're
weeks.
not. But I think this division game is going to spark them.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Denver in a short week is going to be shitting their pants. They're not going to be ready. You want to talk about washed up coaches? Well, Sean Payton. Look no further than Sean Payton.
Yeah, dude. Another guy, the Breeze way. All right, it was
Yeah.
never the Payton way. Sean Payton's a freaking J-hole.
Yeah, any letter plus hole. That's Sean Payton.
F-hole. It sounds like Javonte is going to play. Do you care?
No, because
Me either.
he just hasn't produced, and we really shouldn't be surprised. First year back after a massive knee injury. Not everybody can be, Adrian Peterson, or I guess now Breece Hall looks like he's back in action.
Yeah.
Not everybody can be that, and he had a massive knee injury.
Yeah, his injury was particularly bad, and dude, it's a bad offense. McLaughlin showed some juice. He had a couple really big runs that made his day for fantasy. So this means I'm out on the whole room because Javonte is going to get a little bit of snaps. McLaughlin's going to get some snaps. I think they roll old man P. Ryan out there for a little bit. So yeah, no, I'm out on that. And I
you can
guess
start the receivers and hope for the best if you need to. You don't really love it, but
that is going to be my question before we move on from Denver, because I don't think we need to spend a lot of time here. The game script says we play a receiver for Denver, but I've been, I kind of looked at their numbers and it's like, it's all kind of split, right? So are you chasing the targets for Sutton, the bomb potential for Mims, or are you chasing the talent? For those of you just listening, I'm doing air quotes, talent for Jerry Jeudy.
I'm not chasing anyone. I'm fine with putting either Jeudy or Sutton in if I feel like I'm in a pinch. Bye week injuries, there's a world where you might feel compelled to start one of those guys because you don't have any other options. I think that's fine, and you hope for the best. I mean, Russell Wilson has actually thrown a good amount of touchdowns this year, even though it's getting buried because Denver's losing. So there are some.
He's been sneaky fine for fantasy, and I think if you have to, I think he could be a streamer. But that's if you have to. I wouldn't be jamming him into anybody's lineup. I
think that, yeah, and the Chiefs defense is just come on to be pretty good. They're pretty good. They're not like blah like they used to be. They're actually not bad, So, like I said, Thursday night, I don't like playing them on a Thursday night, but like Russell Wilson, though, he hasn't really been bad. So real quick, I want to look it up. In 5 games, he's got 11 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
And game 1, he's got 2 300-yard passing games, 1 200, and the other 2 games were
11 touchdowns, as in the same as Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, Mahomes hasn't really been worth his sweat capital, that's for sure. Right. So, there is some value to be had in the Broncos passing game. It's just like you're not excited about it.
Yeah. I mean, well, and because of the distribution and because of the randomness of it, he hasn't honed in on like one guy to be the guy. We'll talk about this more later, but in fantasy, you really want consolidation. And a lot of these offenses are not consolidating the way that we would like them
Back
to.
in the day, it was like you used to with the Steelers, it was like Antonio, Le'Veon, and then maybe throw Ben in there. He could have big games. But it was those 2 guys who were extreme producers. So
and a lot of these offenses too are not producing the way that we hoped they would, right? Like Kansas City is not the 4 touchdowns a game juggernaut that's going to support a ton of fantasy options everywhere. If Patty Mahomes is only getting 2 or 3 touchdowns in a game, you better hope you're the luckiest man in the world, because they have packages for all of their players, right? It's not like we have our 11 personnel guys, then we have everything else. No, they got a bunch of packages, and you better hope your guys in on packages. So
Yeah.
Kansas City side, because I want to move on from a total blowout
It's
game.
Mahomes and it's Kelsey, and you got to start. You pretty much have to start Pacheco at this point because
Pacheco, Patty, Trav. You better have a pivot. Obviously, it sounds good for Travis, but have a pivot option. It's a Thursday night game, and there's only one tight end spot, right? If you need to spin the receiver wheel, I vote Rashi.
Yeah, on that side of the ball, Rashi is the only one that seems like he's like figuring out how to be a receiver in that whole room. And
that's the new standard.
Yeah, I think Justin Watson knows how to be a receiver. He's just not very good. And then you've got Sky Moore, who's just hasn't figured it out.
He's just
Darius Toney with his head up his fucking ass. So yeah. Who else is there in that room? I don't care. Justin Ross, matter. Whatever.
Spin the wheel. We want to pick this thing.
Yeah, I mean it's KC, and they're gonna cover the spread.
Yeah, I've got KC here as well. I think that with 10.5, there's a sneaky chance that Denver slops their way to a cover, but it doesn't matter for our purposes. We
cover. I think they'd have to backdoor it, the cover of the spread, meaning like garbage time. They'll get a garbage time. That's the only way.
Well, that's why we have spreads because Vegas doesn't care about that. But ultimately, KC wins. They're going to win comfortably. It's going to be a get right game. And Trav is probably getting some from his new girlfriend after. Gently. So let's talk about this early game in foggy London town. Baltimore,
man.
Baltimore not really at Tennessee, but for the purposes of this, at Tennessee.
This is the week. Okay, let me say about this game. This is the week where if these Baltimore Todd Monken pass catchers don't step the fuck up, like, okay, their passing offense is not going to be what we thought it would be at all. I always had my reservations about this, but you got all your dudes there. Odell's back. He's playing. Bateman's there. Mark Andrews is there. And, of course, Zay is there. Like, this is the team to pass all over. Do it.
They have to. This is it. Absolutely. And for me, I guess this kind of just segues us into what I had. Obviously, Lamar and Andrews are always in, but Zay is the start this week. And against Tennessee, I do think that he has a chance to have a big game. A lot of his stuff has been short yardage, and there's been some inaccuracy and stuff like that. But
that's what pisses you off about the Ravens. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead. You finish. I'll say what I'm saying after. My bad.
No, you already started now. Roll with it.
This is what pisses me off about the Ravens. Like, if you have Zay, he's getting these like little short yardage targets, and then all of a sudden they're gonna target Nelson fucking Aguilar on a bomb that he's gonna drop. And it's like, dude, can you just put Zay on that route? Why do you have to have Nelson Aguilar running that deep route that he's going to drop?
I don't understand it, and it's extremely frustrating to me being 3 for 3 on Zay management. So I don't get it, but his receivers being banged up and having butterfingers and overall being like not very good, I'm starting to get a little worried about this Lamar top 5 fantasy finish because he's gonna run, he's gonna give you like a decent baseline, but this new look Ravens, this is it. We're putting them on life support. Ain't time to kill it yet. But
does Rashad Bateman have any more truthers left?
If they are, they're joking themselves, Andrew. They're joking themselves.
Feels that way. Yeah.
Yeah. He's not it. He's not it. Yeah. Let's see. All right.
Tennessee side.
There's
2 starts there.
That's really there? The unthinkable has happened, Andrew.
Oh, wait. You're talking about maybe
Henry is a committee back.
Taji. That's right. How can I forget? I overlooked that. That was not cool. Yeah. I guess you can I guess you can start him in a pinch. You are the one that I don't have any shares of Mr. King Henry, so you paid more attention. So I'd rather get your opinion on that situation.
Henry is just. I'm trying to think of a good comp. I don't really have one. He's in a committee. And I never, like, in all of my wildest dreams about this offense, like all of my positive things, like, oh, this is it, the last dance for Henry. He's gonna ride me to a fantasy ship. He's gonna be getting 25 touches a game still and rumble his way to 13 touchdowns, all of those things. That was the best case scenario. I'm gonna tell you what I thought the worst case scenario was. He hurts his foot or something again. Something bad happens. He breaks down. The body breaks down.
Right.
Nowhere did I actually think that he was going to be fine, but just not a full-time player. And that's really frustrating because, I have Tajay Spears as the backup. That's cool and all, but obviously that doesn't really do anything for you actionably for fantasy football because you still have to start King Henry and just assume that he's going to get the touchdown because it used to be an assumption that he's always going to get the touchdown, but that's not an assumption anymore. Long story short, in totality, man, it's fine. Like, he's still finished as a top 15 running back or better in 3 out of the 5 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but if I'm remembering correctly. So he's going to give you some borderline RB1 weeks. It's just, I thought it was just like an early season save him trend, but this is pretty much it going forward. It's going to be like a 60-30 split, maybe 55-45.
Right. So he's not been horrible besides like 1 week, really.
Yeah.
And you're not getting the old Derrick Henry that you would love to have.
Yeah. So, like, give him the ball 30 times and let him keep slamming into the line because eventually what's going to happen, what's always happened with Henry, is someone's going to take a bad angle. He's going to put their face in the dirt and he's going to go for 55 and a tud, right?
Right. Yeah.
But if you're not getting that volume, that type of thing happens less. So it's no longer a concern. It's just the new reality.
So there's one more question on this side. Do you feel Tajay is a flex option yet or no?
In the right matchup, absolutely. I mean, he's getting plenty.
Is this the right matchup?
No, and the reason why is even though Baltimore's defense is banged up, it's still pretty decent. It's a low over-under at 40.
Yeah.
And I don't think, like, if I were a solo Tajay Spears owner and I was considering starting him, I would be looking at matchups that I think Tennessee can get down big early because he does get. Yeah, I hate when people say, "Oh, he's a third down back." That's not really what the third down back means. Option. But like 2-minute drills and stuff like that, he's in for more of those. So that's what I would be kind of looking at for Tajay solo. Sure.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Start D-Hop. It's fine.
Yeah, start D-Hop. All right, so Washington, Atlanta.
Well, I have them in a little bit of a different order. Do you want to go Washington, Atlanta, or do we want to do San Fran, Cleveland?
Go by your order. San Fran, Cleveland.
Yep. San Fran minus 5.5, 37 over under. Disgusting. Fucking disgusting. 37 over under. In Cleveland. So, just to housekeep, San Fran, you're sending everybody in. Obviously, in a low over under. You don't know who's going to get the touchdown, but like somebody's going to have a big day on this juggernaut. They're fucking unstoppable. So you just go forward with it. And I do have to apologize to our listeners. I said sit George Kittle. What I meant is you never sit George Kittle ever because he can fucking blow up for 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. That was fun. So the only question I really want to ask on the San Fran side, where is the where is the Mason Dixon, Andy Dalton, Kirk Cousins line of Brock Purdy? Because Brock Purdy has been done
Oh, you
nothing.
mean like borderline top 5 quarterback Brock Purdy?
No, I just mean starts in fantasy. Like, where does that line stop? Like, of who you're going to start Brock Purdy over, because he's been nothing but efficient all season.
So in this game, I think he's actually a sit for me.
Okay.
Because I think it's going to be a slow rolling snot knocker. But obviously
has a streak. San Fran has a streak of like 30 points per game of
I know.
Regular season. They had that terrible game because Brock Purdy got hurt against Philly, and Philly's just golden horseshoe up their ass every fucking week. But
they're a machine. So obviously, if you're fading my thought process that this is a low scoring game, I understand that, because they're just a machine and maybe nobody can stop them. But I just think there's a chance that, given the fact that Brock Purdy really has just been automatic 2 to 3 touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
I just think maybe it's 2 this week and maybe 1 goes to the running backs. I don't know. But that's just my thought process. But he's going to be a QB1 all year because he's attached to this incredible offense, and he's like actually good himself.
Dude is the QB7.
Yeah.
And 4-point. He might even be higher in 6-point passing leagues.
He absolutely would be.
But playing in 4-point, I mean, let's see. He has the one bad game against the Rams where he didn't throw a touchdown. Okay. But he's got a game of 2, 2, 1, and 4. But then keep in mind, the game that he didn't throw one, he ran one in.
Yeah.
And the one against against Arizona, it was one pass, 1 rush. So, like, dude, this is the question I'm asking. Where is that line? Like, if you have, let's just say on the other side of the ball, if you have Deshaun Watson and you have Brock Purdy.
Purdy. San Fran is going to blow them up. Purdy.
Okay. So what about like a Jared Goff on the road? You going Purdy? You going Jared Goff?
Yeah, give me Purdy. Goff.
Right.
Goff is fine, but he's just not attached to. San Francisco they're the class of the NFL right now until somebody says differently.
Sure.
I just don't see how they lose a game.
How
they probably will. I just don't see how it happens.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to project them to lose any game. They're probably literally favored in every game. But okay, so how about Kirk Cousins? No Justin Jefferson now.
Purdy.
So you feel pretty confident about like his line then. What if it goes up to like, what about Justin Fields? He's had some big games, but we know he's capable of dudding.
Yes, Fields is capable of dudding, but I got to have Fields in my lineup for that upside because, again, you want to talk about Mason Dixon, Andy Dalton lines. Fields has also thrown for as many touchdowns as Patty Mahomes.
True. So you're going to start Mahomes or Purdy?
Oh, don't do that to me. Don't.
I mean, you want to keep bringing that shit up.
Say it. No. Okay, that's my line. No matter what, Patty Mahomes in a smash matchup, you have to start him.
All right, cool. So let's get to the other side of the ball here. The Browns, so there was a guy that everyone was clamoring for, of course, in Jerome Ford after the unfortunate club injury. Is he a start for you in this week?
No. In fact, no one is.
Sitting him.
I don't care. Deshaun Watson might come back from injury. I don't know if it's PJ Washington or DTR. It doesn't matter. They're going to get fucking smoked.
PJ Walker.
Whatever.
I know. He's insignificant.
They're going to get smoked.
They're probably going to get smoked. I would still start Amari Cooper. He's just a good receiver. And game script would state they're going to have to start bombing that ball at some point and maybe get lucky.
That is true. And I guess like when I say start them, I should qualify my response. Like most wide receiver ones should always be a flex play. when I say that, I guess what I really should say is I expect all of these players to severely underperform their expectations.
Sure, that's fair. Okay.
So if you see Amari Cooper as a solid wide receiver 2, then you have to knock him down to a wide receiver 3 this week. That's what I really mean when I say that.
Right. So
I'm just not interested.
You're
in
still
playing.
starting him, but you're not excited about it.
We didn't pick the London game. For what it's worth, I think it's Baltimore.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Baltimore. I have Baltimore winning that game.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be like it's a 3-point spread.
Something like that. 4.
Yeah.
It's 4.
4. Okay.
So San Fran in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
It's of course San Fran, and 5 points is also not enough. They're just too well-oiled a machine, and
You said it perfectly. Like you watch them play football, they are a well-oiled machine.
They are.
I don't see any hitches.
Cleveland, as good as their defense might be, San Francisco just has an answer for everything. They can beat you in any way, and I think that their San Francisco's defense is so good. Cleveland's going to just be giving up the ball a lot. Their defense is going to kind of break down by too much time on the field.
Trent on their O-line is the eraser.
He's amazing.
he just erases people from the game plan. So you better move Myles Garrett around.
All right. So is there anybody else? So Cleveland, I think once again, Jerome Ford is a desperation start because 2 reasons. Yes, he's a starting running back, but that's also not even how much of a starting running back is he. Kareem Hunt getting more comfortable now back in Cleveland. We'll see. You can start Jerome Ford if you have to, but I would
try your very, very best to not put those 4.3 points.
So here's a good question. Do you start Amari DeMarcado over Jerome Ford?
Yes.
Okay. How about somebody like Chuba Hubbard, who's been like kind of out snapping Miles Sanders?
I have to look at yeah, I mean, that one's tough because of a part-time player. Give me Ford's volume, and I guess there's a chance he can fall in the end zone. He's still getting
the fact that it's that close though means you want to try to stay away from him.
Yeah,
you can.
Yeah.
All right, next game.
So we have the washed Commanders at Atlanta. 2.5 dogs, 42 over under. Just the same blag game that Washington and Atlanta always seem to be. These two teams are like palindromes of each other to me.
Yeah.
In terms of the way they want to play football. So it's going to come down to a field goal at the end. Commies, obviously, you got B-Rob is in, T-Mac is in for sure. But that being said, Andrew, here's the actual topic of debate. Target distribution in the Commanders offense is basically dead even among their top 3 receivers.
Yeah.
T-Mac, Samuel, and Dotson. Obviously, A-Dot is different, and the efficiency is different based on those targets. So, results are different, but the distribution is completely split among those 3 receivers, which nukes the value of T-Mac. Where do you kind of see him rest of season? Because if he was a dominator of targets, he would be great.
He's a low end too, man.
Yeah.
He's a low end too. It's hard to be excited for him in this offense. You're hoping. So this is kind of the, I'm going to kind of throw my definition out there of what a low end wide receiver / flex wide receiver is. In this case, he is a very talented player on a bad offense that you hope their talent will show up big on a couple plays that can make your fantasy day.
That's the most frustrating thing for me is that when you look at the totality of the passing yardage totals it really isn't that bad of an offense. Sam Howell is doing some things, but when you throw to 11, count them 11 different pass catchers in a game, you can't have a great fantasy day from a wide receiver one. If they consolidated those targets more, I think Terry Mack might even be a high end too, but it doesn't look like that's Bieniemy's game plan.
And you know who that exactly what I described sounds like? Take a guess.
Yep.
Huh?
KC, baby.
Huh?
KC, Kansas City. That's who that sounds like.
Well, no. What player that I basically described with that? A really talented player that you're just praying that their talent can break through and give you a big performance, because it's hard to be consistent because the offense around them is just not good.
I see. You're transitioning. That sounds a whole lot like either Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and or Bijan Robinson.
Well, no, I'm not talking about in this game. I'm actually talking about Garrett Wilson, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways,
that's just sadness. That's sadness.
So, there's one player that I'm actually like cool with starting on Washington. One player,
Old man Thomas.
I don't even think, Logan Thomas. I mean, he's getting targets and he's producing. He's been good in his career. He's just always been hurt. When he's on the field, he's been a really solid tight end. So, he's an option.
And from tight end standards, he's absolutely, regardless of the target distro, he's absolutely somebody that should be a smash start.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
but that's it. I don't want to play Brian Robinson if I don't have to. I don't like this matchup for him.
Many people do have to, but it's not a great.
So
Atlanta's defense is pretty good. They're helping them support their run the damn ball mentality. Yeah, I mean, Bijan is the only true smash start. You can take your shot on Drake London against a suspect secondary. Absolutely, there's nothing wrong with that. And even after his quote unquote big day yesterday, Kyle Pitts is tied with Jonnu Smith in terms of fantasy production. Womp.
That is just such a depressing thing. I don't really. It's hard to decipher what Atlanta wants to do on a week-to-week basis. They have this reputation as being a run team, but
they threw kind of a lot last week.
I mean, Ritter had. Let's see, I pulled it up. Besides week one, this is from week 2 on. Passing attempts for Desmond Ritter: 32, 38. 31, 37. And a lot of these, are in pretty neutral game scripts. They've been pretty close in all these games, right? So maybe that's a bit of a misconception going on here. Now, Desmond Ritter's quality of his targets suck for the most part.
That's the depressing thing, is that so it actually surprises me that I knew that he had a lot of attempts last week. I didn't know that it was a trend like that. But that's the reality, man. Even though the pass attempts have gone up, the consistent production from their first round, quote unquote, star skill position players really hasn't been there, and certainly they're not consolidating targets either. So, yeah, I mean, I know what they want to do, which is be a ball control offense. I'm just not so sure. You just can't really do that. Like 30, 33, 34, 38 attempts, that's in today's NFL, that's still not a lot. That's pretty average and probably below average. Yeah.
It's on par. I mean, you have certain teams like the Bengals, and recently the Chargers haven't had Eckler, and their running game has been a net negative for them. So all right, Herb, throw the ball 45 times. All right, Joe, throw the ball but I'd say right around that 35 to 38 range is what's pretty common. So I think
high volume doesn't always mean a good passing offense.
So I think in this game, Washington, also another misconception is that they have a good defense. They don't. They have a lot of big names on their front and struggling players on the back seven. That's their defense. Stop telling me Washington has a good defense. They fucking don't.
And well, I never said that, but other
No,
people.
no, not you. I'm just saying, like, the world telling me,
Yeah,
but they got this defense. They got
there's a lot of
he's
that.
a good player, and I like a Chase Young. Like, they're not doing nothing, man. Shut up.
Well, and that's the reality of the NFL right now. There are so many defenses like that have the names that you recognize, names you know are in theory supposed to be good defenses, but just aren't good units. They're not producing, and it's so crazy how that can happen year over year. It's like that with O-lines too, by the way. It happened with the Colts. Pretty much the exact same O-line with the exception of
Quentin Nelson.
No, Eric
Fisher.
Eric Fisher. Yeah, I don't know why his name was escaping me. Basically, the same O-line year over year was absolute dog shit last year and is really good this year. So it can just happen that way that units will rise and fall in the NFL. But let's pick this terrible game and move on, man. I'm done talking about it.
Yeah. Well, quick question about the players. Are you going to start Pitts after 11 targets or not? Or is that fool's gold to you?
No. I am. I don't want to. I am going to start him because I don't have another option. I had no fab for freaking homeboy, Logan Thomas. So, I have to start Kyle Pitts. I'm not happy about it.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
Because I know he's not going to.
Atlanta at home. I am going to take them to win. And you're right. I'm going to take them by 3.
Yeah.
By a field goal. Another Young Wei Koo field goal to win the game.
Yeah, I guess. Give me Atlanta. Like, I don't really trust either of these teams, so I guess I'll just go with the home team. They're just both like perfectly mid teams. But I think Atlanta is slightly better in the trenches. So
true. Yeah.
All righty. Carolina at Miami. Another potential smoking at 13.5 for Miami.
A guaranteed smoking.
With a 48.5 over under. But by Vegas, that isn't even the worst smoking of the week. We'll get to that game later. The only obvious ins for me on the Carolina side is old man Thielen. Don't talk to me about no Mild Sanders or Chuba Hubbard, Chubba Lubba, whatever. I'm not into any of that. If you have to start them, I'm very sorry for you. It is a good matchup, but I just hate this offense. Andrew, you are welcome to debate that point if you'd like.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to debate that. Adam Thielen's a must start. He's just been nasty every week, and he is going to play right into this Miami defense that's Vic Fangio style, cover 4, let you get the short stuff. I mean, it plays. Adam Thielen's gonna have 12 catches in this game, dude. It's gonna be a nice day for Adam Thielen. Chuba.
Anybody else you care about rolling up here?
Chuba / Sanders are, they're flex guys if you have to. Once again, bye week, injuries, whatever. Yeah, sure. You can start those guys if you need to, but try your best not to.
Miami, obviously. Send them all in.
We wish
we were sending an H.
Not Durham Smythe. I was very wrong on that. Not only did he not score a touchdown, he didn't get a single catch. So terrible
guarantees. Like our guarantees are basically impossible. We're setting ourselves up to lose every week. Like you're picking random flex players to score a touchdown.
It's fun. We're gonna keep doing it.
I think it's more fun for you, but I'll keep doing
I like
it. Here is one debatable topic before we move on from, again, a big time spanking. Dude, Jalen Waddle. He's been disappointing all year. He's not even like this offense, the 70 points, the greatest, fastest paced offense we've seen since the greatest show on turf, all the things. We're seeing everything, but he's not even on pace for 1,000 yards right now. Like, what is his ceiling? I see what you're doing. What is his ceiling right now? And are managers in a move on or in a hold on type of situation right now?
Just hold on one
For those of you just
day.
listening, Andrew is holding a looks like banana fanny pack to his temple, getting ready to pull the fake trigger.
This is a game called Bananagrams. It's pretty fun. It's kind of like a free-for-all Scrabble.
Okay, I see what it is.
It's a fun game. But anyways, hold on for one more day. You just can't sit an explosive player on an explosive offense. The production hasn't been there. Waddle. Everybody knows Waddle. Sorry, I'm going to throw these real quick. Waddle is a talented player. What has happened in Miami, in my opinion, is you have a running game that is going off, and you have one of the most elite big play wide receivers in the freaking world. The best in the world in Tyreek Hill.
But think about it, man. He has to go up against the best corner.
Oh my God, worst argument ever. Well, when the best that they have to offer upon the other side is a 6th-round rookie from Old Dominion, you better believe he's going to burn him for a 70-yard touchdown with no safety help over the top. Giants, you fucking suck.
You said it yourself, Andrew. Hold on for one more game. Like, this is the game for me that it's like, dude, it's Carolina. You're at home. Come on, just give Waddle some love. Give me something. Give me something here.
Yeah, Waddle's just kind of like the what do you call it? Man on the outside, I get, whatever. The odd man out. That's
odd man out, which is unfortunate because you and I both invested heavily in him. So
I was fortunate enough to get him for a 4th-round keeper, but even that, he has not even produced that return yet. He's been
objectively terrible, and I know we can have this conversation in more detail in another pod, but the wide receiver 2s on good teams thing has been really bad this year, and we kind of felt like that was a thing. Like, if you're not the main guy, you're more susceptible to duds. But it seems like, especially this year, the Devontaes, the T. Higgins, the Jalen Waddles, like
Jordan Addison,
wide receiver 1s are greedy, apparently.
They are. Yeah, so well, who's been really good though in that case is actually Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, I know. Get out of here. This is crazy. Jacoby Myers, which, by the way, like, a good player, a fine player. I'm not dunking on Jacoby Myers, but traditionally, Devontae Adams has always been the greedy target hog, and he's been more sharing is caring than some of these other guys. But I digress.
Well,
I'm picking Miami in this game.
Yeah, of course. How can I not?
Should we move on to Minnesota at Chicago, the battle for the bottom of the NFC North?
Of course. Let's do it.
I don't think it's actually the battle for the bottom. I'm giving Minnesota fans some shit out here. I don't know what their full standing is, but I do know that Minnesota is favored by 2.5 on the road. 44 and a half over under. Interesting.
I wonder how much that line is different if Justin Jefferson's there.
Right, exactly, and that's the interesting thing about it. That, like, would it even be higher? That seems a little high for these teams, but bad defenses, an offense on the rise in Chicago, Fields and DJ Moore. Oh my God, have to be in after
you want to talk about consolidation? There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's DJ and literally nobody else. That's what we wanted for fantasy. Thank you, Justin Fields. You did it. This is 2 big performances in a row.
Back-to-back 4 touchdown passes. That's awesome.
Yeah, and he's not running all over the place, which still drives me crazy. I don't understand it. He has, like, a very minimal amount of rushing yards for, like, what his ceiling in the rushing arena is, but I'm not going to complain about big performances through the air. Andrew, 2 in a row is 2 in a row. You know the rules just as well as I do. 3 is on fire.
Right. Yeah.
We both play at NBA Jams. So how are we feeling about Fields now? You were very, very out on him a couple weeks ago.
I feel like Fields has been able to just play calmer, and I it's almost like that fantasy goodness of him running all over the place was just hurting his development as a passer.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's staying calm, and he's actually, it really matters to have a great weapon. It really does. All these quarterbacks that are devoid of a great weapon that can win one-on-one, they struggle, man. They struggle. Look at Mahomes right now.
DJ, exactly. Mahomes. We talked about that before. Like you need to have that guy.
Yeah, and
DJ cooked his matchup so bad. Dude, when you watch it on TV, there's times when you're like, man, that's like, I would hate to be that guy right now. Like that dude is miserable.
Emmanuel Forbes, he came in as 165 pounds. You'd think you're gonna stop a freaking load like DJ Moore. Come on.
He's a hoss, bro. It's so funny because I didn't really, like, I always knew he was taller, but like seeing him zoomed in person, I don't know if it's like the Chicago uniforms that make him look bigger, but like he's low key a hoss. And there's not very many hosses at receiver anymore.
I feel like he gets this reputation like he's not. It's like, yeah, he's not DK or AJ Brown, but the guy's freaking strong. And
he was manhandling that dude.
I mean, yeah. Once again, Washington
threw him out of the way to just bust down the sideline for the easiest 40-yard bomb possible.
So this game,
yeah,
yes, Fields looks better, and this is a good matchup for him to continue to look good. Minnesota's defense has been underwhelming.
And I have a follow-up question about Fields. I didn't have it here, but you just kind of made me think about it. Okay, we're 5 games in at this point. Like, is this just the new Justin Fields? Like, is he a drop-back quarterback now? Like, we just have to accept that that's who he is?
Well, I just think it's more of like the league is planning to defend designed runs. So they're like, all right, let's not play into their hands, but you got to be a good passer. And the way you can be a good passer is when your dude has one-on-one coverage, you just throw him the damn ball. I think that's the game plan.
So you're just saying he's digging because the defense is zagging and they're spying on him, which means lighter coverage against the receivers. Okay, that makes sense. That's
my best guess. I didn't go study film to give you that analysis, to be honest. But
it makes more sense than my analysis, which is that Eberflus is actively trying to sabotage him so that they can get the 1 and 2 pick and flip Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. That's my conspiracy theory. But they've won a game now, so
we'd be excited about the Bears' offense next season. That's for sure. If that happened.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. All right, so Minnesota, we already cried over Justin Jeff.
Hold on. We got to talk about real quick. Are you gonna start? Do you feel comfortable starting Donta Foreman off the practice squad, assuming Roshan's not there because he's still in concussion protocol? He might make it back. Do you start both? Minnesota's
that is a good question. Certainly not both. If they're both in, I'm just staying away. If it's Roshan, yes, Roshan is in, no doubt. If it is Roshan, and if it's Dante by himself, yeah, if you have to, like, I think it's worth a shot. I mean, Foreman's been productive before.
Yeah, I mean, he's been good in those opportunities where, not all the time, but he's had some big games when it's like, you're the last guy we got, like, just run hard, and he has done pretty well.
I like I said, comfortable is a strong word, but like if either of these running backs, Roshan doesn't have to be by himself because he'll catch passes. Dante by himself is fine.
Yeah,
fine.
Okay.
And Roshan had a couple extra days back.
Colton Met is definitely startable right now. You can start.
Oh yeah, no shit.
Okay, so Minnesota.
So yeah, Maddie and Hawkinson, obvious ends. There used to be another obvious end there that it's unfortunate, not happening.
The tight end one on the week is T.J. Hawkinson.
Yeah, I mean, dude, against this defense, you kidding me? He's gonna go ham salami sandwich.
And like 12, 13 targets are now vacated.
Yeah.
KJ Osborne is not going to command the same amount of targets as Justin Jefferson, obviously.
Speaking of those vacated targets, Addison season?
Addison, yeah. I mean, he's going to get a few more targets thrown his way too, of course. So, but I think ultimately the most trusted guy in this offense right now has got to be Hawkinson. So
yeah, I would say that's fair.
Double-digit targets on tap for TJ, probably a touchdown. Yeah.
I think it's a sprinkle, especially in a game where I think Minnesota. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to bury the lead. I think Minnesota wins. I think Chicago's riding that high, but I just don't think that they're a very good and deep football team. So I think that it's going to be high scoring, but I think their defense will kind of be the reason that they lose this game.
Yeah, and Kirk can battle. I mean,
yeah, exactly. So I think Kirk just barely wins the duel of pocket quarterbacks. That still sounds weird to me, but
we'll see. Maybe Chicago. I think Justin Fields is good at running off script better anyway. That's where the big plays come from. So with this defense, the Minnesota defense, the way they drop back into coverage all the time, yeah, there's going to be a few big runs.
They're slow, Andrew. They're too slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and for what it's worth, I'll say this: I think the targets get sprinkled around. I don't think it's anybody's just going to be Justin Jefferson stepping into his spot or his shoes. I think KJ gets the first look at it, but I will say that I like Addison's ascension way over KJ. I think that he's going to be a full-time player, and they don't need Justin Jefferson's style in this offense. They need talent in this offense, and Addison's the talent infusion that they need.
Yeah. KJ is startable. This is a good matchup.
Yeah.
For receivers. Yeah. And yes, he is a reliable, well, I don't know. He has a few drops in his career, but when I say reliable, like
he's been around, he's a veteran, he knows the offense, blah 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 blah.
He can command some targets. He's not a complete scrub.
Yeah, so I think low key nice fantasy game. Like I think we're starting a lot of people in this game. It sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so next.
So I picked Minnesota. Are you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Minnesota in this game. Yeah. I think Kirk will outbattle, I think that the Bears will. Now it's funny because both these teams have the tendency to shoot themselves in the foot. I just think the Bears will do it a little bit more.
Exactly. That's it's like who wants it more to lose.
Right.
All right. So this next game is Indy at Jacksonville. 4.5 home favorites. 46.5 over under. Your boy will be live in attendance in person in this game. When I made these plans weeks ago, my goal was to see Anthony Richardson for the first time live and in person. This will not happen now, which makes me very sad. There's no fantasy analysis with that. I just wanted the world to know.
Okay, so the Colts, they are a different team from last year in a lot of ways, even without Anthony Richardson.
Steichen, baby. Let's go.
Shane Steichen is doing a good job.
A little creativity in the offense for once.
Yeah, some creativity, some tempo. Gardner Minshew can absolutely operate an offense. Yeah, nowhere near the upside of Anthony Richardson. That's obvious. We don't have to tell that to anybody. But he's operating the offense well. He's a solid ball distributor. Like, Josh Downs is a solid player, and I think his style is a good fit with Gardner Minshew. So he's kind of like, he's your possession guy. who can get a solid amount of targets and be a decent flex
he's
play.
quick and he gets separation quick, which I think Minshew likes, and he can take it down the field as well. And so I guess that's my question, Andrew. So like you're talking about probably 1-2 passing touchdowns in a game, not the most sexy line that you've ever seen. Who's in, Pittman or Downs?
I'm always going to start Pittman over Downs, but Downs is flex worthy this week.
I agree with you. I kind of asked that almost as like a trap question because Pittman is like the certainly the more reliable fantasy option. But you're right. The trend has been Downs kind of like Minshew and Downs kind of share more.
He's the chain mover for him.
They have more of a connection than what Richardson had going on over targeting Pittman. And I got to eat some crow on my own team, by the way. I said Zach Moss sucks.
I picked him on the wrong week. I'm sorry. It was the week that Jonathan Taylor was coming back that he was going to go off.
I know, dude. How many people dropped Zach Moss and were so pumped to throw JT in their lineup? This is it. Finally the week. Let's go. Now, I think the signs were pointing to the fact that JT is probably going to get ramped up a bit. And no, I don't think Zach Moss is the running back one on this offense. Stop it, Twitter. Stop it. Zach Moss was awesome. The O-line was mauling Tennessee in certain spots, not the whole game, but in certain spots last week. And honestly, dude, I'm not taking anything away from him. He legit was good.
Do you start him again? Do you start him again?
Yeah, you absolutely can. And I killed this man because of everything that I saw in Buffalo. And you were right. Clearly, the scheme was not a fit for him. It seems like he needs a little more of a one cut style. He needs a little more. Yeah, he needs a little more north-south, a little more road grading O-line. So you're absolutely right. But I saw a plotting running back in New York, and I see a completely different guy here. So pretty stoked about that. But ultimately, it's going to take a couple weeks, but they didn't give JT all this money for nothing. He's going to be the guy going forward. He's just not the guy yet.
I think
a lot of people are bummed out.
If anything, they found a good spell back that allows JT to come off the field and get a breather, and they don't lose everything, because when they were having to trot out fucking Deion Jackson.
Yeah, dude.
And who was the other fruit cup that was there? I don't know. There was some other.
There was a couple of other guys they've cycled in and out. But yeah, no, I mean, look, especially because you make this investment in a running back, you okay, it's 3 years. It's not just the money. You want them to last. And then on a lot of podcasts that I listen to and everything else for Indy, the interesting kind of between the lines conversation from Steichen is it kind of seems like they're kind of trying to think about is this like a thunder and lightning type of situation? Is JT going to be the guy trying to find the edge and doing more creative things, maybe catching some passes? So I think the usage will go up for JT, but it may be different than what we're used to, and I'm interested to see what that looks like.
For sure. So I think the question right now about the Colts in this game is, are you okay? So you're going to start Pittman most likely.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are going to start Pittman. You can start Downs. That's really it on that side, on the pass catching side. Are you okay starting both? Are you going to say, okay, well, take that gamble? Is JT going to get an uptick right away? Is he not? Is it still going to be the Moss show?
I think Zach Moss is still startable. I think that what we're looking at is a classic 3-week ramp up. I think JT got his feet wet. He's going to be going full bore in practice all week. He's going to get ramped up more. So I think you're looking at a ramp up of Now it won't be 100% of the snaps, right? But like, let's just say whatever his ceilings is for snaps, we saw a quarter of it last week. We're going to see half of it this week. You're going to see all of it the following week. That's
true.
That's my prediction.
Okay. So, Jacksonville side.
ETN, Ridley, Ingram, Kirk, all startable. All should be in there. So I think that's pretty easy.
I think since you're going to see your Colts, this is the week that Trevor's going to look great. He's going to throw like 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, probably. And I'm like, I knew what I was doing. I wanted to see a classic battle. I really liked what I saw from Richardson. I was pumped to like see a great game, but I'm fully prepared to be the dude, the one blue dot in a sea of green getting absolutely dunked on all game. But that's okay. I'll take my smoke. I'll take my medicine, you know. When you're a winning franchise with a Super Bowl, you don't get as mad. You don't get as mad about these things. I let other franchises have their shine and have their moment. This is their moment. I'll let them have it, It's cute.
So we're pretty much in agreement.
Can you sense I'm talking to somebody in particular?
So are you even gonna debate Zay Jones, or is he out? Actually, he might even be out.
He's out of my lineup. That's for damn sure.
All right, so whatever. I don't even care. Yeah, you're right. So then, are you going to take the Jags in this game?
I can't do that, Andrew. Even though logic would dictate that I take the favored team at home facing a backup quarterback, I'm not going to do that. I think it's Minshew mania the wrong way in Jacksonville. I think the hashtag revenge game happens, and I think it's continued sadness. My brain doesn't necessarily believe this, but my heart believes it. I'm going to go with my heart this time.
Minshew's going to play really well. It's not going to be enough. Jags win.
Yeah, probably true, but I'm still making my pick.
Sweet. Good.
All right.
All right. Next.
Nola Houston.
Nola Houston, man.
1.5 road favorites, 42.5 over under.
Yeah, give me the under in this game.
Yeah, I mean, probably same, dude. Like, who's in for New Orleans? Olave and AK. Mike Thomas is fine for PPR. But I do think it's time for us to have a conversation about Derek Carr, the New Orleans offense, and Chris Olave. Chris is another one. Been disappointing all year. Like, has he had usable fantasy weeks? Sure. Like, he's been pretty much like automatically like 9 to 11 fantasy points every week.
Yeah.
No more, no less. So, yes, he hasn't been necessarily murdering your lineups, but certainly not what we were expecting taking him in the second round. It's really disappointing to me because I was banking on the quarterback upgrade, the second-year bump, Chris Olave's tantalizing talent, all of that stuff, and it just hasn't been there. Derek Carr's got the shoulder. He looked like a noodle arm pussy in this last week. So, like, I'm not completely – or the week prior, and then this week they just railroaded the Patriots and never needed to throw it. So, like, there's some excuses to be had here, but this is 5 weeks now, and I'm worried. I don't know where you're at.
It's a redraft season long. Be a little worried kind of deal, but Dynasty, just be patient. Like, he's going to be really good.
Well, considering that it's my redraft league on life support, that doesn't make me feel much better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to trust throughout his short career, but I mean, the tendency is he's predominantly a deep target with a guy who doesn't like to throw deep, B isn't that good at it, and C has a hurt shoulder.
It's all bad vibes. He's the wide receiver 32 on the year, Andrew. And
it's not great.
You can start him. He's not a must start to me anymore. He's not a must start. And that's very sad.
It'd be hard to take him out of your lineup, but yeah, I mean it's understandable right now.
Can start, not must start. Kendre Miller, interesting stash. His usage seems to be going up, and he's looked pretty decent out there. So if he's still hanging out, pittering around on your waivers, I would take a look at it. Anything else on the Nola side, or do you want to move on to Houston?
Still don't start Taysom Hill. That's it.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because we hate on the Taysom Hill thing because of, just the way that it's like it was supposed to be a cheat code for fantasy. It hasn't been a cheat code. He's barely getting snaps on a game-to-game basis. So I think we can finally move on from that conversation, thankfully.
Yeah. The defense is still startable.
Houston. Is there any must start in Houston in this matchup?
I think that Nico Collins has kind of played himself into that. It's hard to
down week last week.
Yeah, but it's hard to start. Can't get these goddamn words out. To not start a guy who has multiple weeks of like 25 points.
Fair.
And he's a red zone threat with his size. He's the go-to guy for Stroud. It's hard to bench him. Tank Dell most likely not playing. Robert Woods is a PPR play. You can play him. Damian is very scary in this game.
Yeah.
With the same.
Yeah, he is.
Very scary.
That front looks mean. That front looks real mean.
I'd be trying to avoid Pierce if I could. He's gonna get volume because that's him. But man, there's a couple schools of like Devon Achane, 4 carries, 85 yards and 2 touchdowns, or 22 carries for 43 yards. Like, one's
football is so much fun. I have Nola in this game. I think they impose their will, unfortunately. As nice of an early season story as CJ's been, this ain't the week for CJ and the Houston options, in my opinion.
I agree. I think this defense is going to be a little too much in the end.
That's all right. They're still going to lose the division to Tampa.
But they'll win this game.
Yes. Seattle at Cincinnati. 2.5 home favorites, 45.5 over-under. Cincy obviously woke up last week. Joe Burr to Jamar Chase won people some matchups, no doubt. And now we have to figure out through this game, is Cincy all the way back, or is this the Arizona bump? Because, Andrew, as you recall, the Giants' offense looked good for a half against Arizona. So I have my doubts. Where are you feeling with this?
I feel in this game at home against Seattle defense that isn't all that special in their own right. I think that Burrow kind of forgot for a minute there how amazing Jamar Chase is, and then when he was forced to go to him,
you should just pepper him.
Yeah, when he was forced to go to him over and over again with no T on the other side and stop stroking himself and just say, hey, this guy's the shit. Let me throw him the ball. Their offense just operates much better when they just force feed their best player. I think they're going to go back to that well quite a lot. And I don't think Seattle's defense is anything crazy. So, I believe in Cincy this week. I'd be fine going back to starting Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I think, in my particular case, I have to, but I think that's fine here. T. Higgins is practicing this week. He is on track to potentially play. I would, if you're in a good spot with receivers, I might wait and see. Rib injuries, plus hard hits from NFL players can sometimes lead to early exits of games. But I can understand if you feel the need that you have to just put that volatility in your lineup. Yeah, I don't know where you stand on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one to sit T. Higgins if he's playing. He's out there. I'm going to start him.
Some of us may not have a choice again. All right, so on the Seattle side, pretty easy conversation. They're a nice consolidated team right now. DK is for sure in. Ken Walk is for sure in. Lockett is always a flex consideration, but of course, just by the nature of his position is a little, or his role on the team rather, is a little bit up and down. Is there anything different about this game where you would feel kind of any kind of way about those players?
No, I just want to talk.
Decent defense.
They're a very Jekyll and Hyde defense.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the question, and this is not a start sit question. This is a, are you just going to be done and drop JSN? Excuse me.
It depends. It's such a cop out. It's such a cop out answer. But it really depends on what options are out there. Like, yes, JSN's production has been awful, and I can completely understand if you just need that out of your lineup. But
would you pick up Rashee Rice right now over JSN?
Yeah, I think I would. I think I would, just because JSN, I think, is the better player, but Rashee actually has an opportunity to be a quote-unquote number one wide receiver if you don't count the tight end.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would probably take my chance there. But, yeah, JSN, he's not like an auto drop for me, but he's on the bubble of a roster.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I just want to real quickly count. So, yeah, I mean, Rashee Rice has seemingly good matchups coming up. His snap count so far has maxed out, and this is week 3, at 51%. I would like to find what JSNs are.
It's been around the same. JSN hasn't been much more than 60% of the snaps either, because they just don't they run some 3 receiver sets, but they like the fat boy sets too.
Yeah, it seems like their offense is operating best in Seattle when they have 2 tight ends on the field.
Yeah.
So just real quickly, I'm trying to find him on here. Yeah, here we go.
This feels like a useless debate topic. JSN
versus
Rashee Rice.
It kind of does, honestly. Yeah, he has been hovering just above 50% snap share. And he's maxed out at 6 targets so far.
I guess what I would say is Rashee Rice is the much better player right now if you need points right now. If you're still holding out hope that JSN can usurp one of these guys, I guess do it. But, outside of an injury, I think both me and Andrew are in agreement that just doesn't seem very likely right now.
Yeah,
this season.
It would take an injury to get those guys to get him on the field more. Okay, who we got next?
In the next game, New England at Vegas. Vegas home favors 3.5, 41.5 over under. I will not speak about any New England fantasy options, so don't ask me. This is your moment that if you would care to talk about anyone on New England, you can. To me, they are all dead to my rosters.
I'm still fine with putting in Ramondre Stevenson. They haven't used him much. They've sucked on offense. Get your guy back touching the ball. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. There are some of you out there that have to start Ramondre Stevenson. He's a running back. He's a starter. I completely get it. But He's been pseudo-goosing your lineup for 2 weeks and not very productive even before that. If you have other options, stop chasing the name. He can't just keep sinking your lineup. At a certain point, if Brian Robinson is the better start, at a certain point, if Jaleel McLaughlin is the better start, you have to make the pivot because fantasy's too short. That's the way that I look at it. But this offense is trash. I think we can move on to Monday Night Winners and saviors of Paul's fantasy season somehow. Vegas. Josh J, he's back. 2 straight good weeks, RB1 weeks for him. I know you're pretty stoked about that. Devontae Adams is always in. He'll have a couple dud games here and there, but he's Devontae freaking Adams.
He's
Come on,
playing
man.
through injury. He was decoying.
And Jacobs and pretty much everybody on this team has a string of some nice matchups coming up, including this one. New England's reputation as a good defense is falling apart quickly too. So
unfortunately, they lost Matthew Judon and Christian Gonzalez in the first week, in the same week, a couple weeks ago. Those are 2 cornerstone pieces for their defense. So they're having a tough time.
They're a very bad football team. Jacoby Myers always in play as a flex, especially if you're in a PPR format. Are there any other things?
He might be a weekly starter at this point. Jacoby Myers. He's been
good. He's been constantly involved.
Bad scouting though. So revenge game for him. If you care. Why did they get rid of him?
Because the Patriots are bad at everything, Andrew. The Patriot way sucks. The Patriot way worked when they had Tom Brady. It is over.
So
That's
basically
why.
Tom Brady was like a magic crystal that was just making them amazing for like 20 years.
I'll walk that back slightly. It worked for a time.
I'm not I'm not debating you. I'm just asking that question.
No, but I'm reining myself in because sometimes the take train leaves the station and it picks up too much steam.
And you also hate Bill Belichick, so any reason to like shit on his Patriots?
Yes, obviously being a Colts fan too, there's a sore spot there as well. Fuck him. But my take train will sometimes gather too much speed, and I'll have to be like, I'll be like, whatever. It's like, it's a Josh Jacobs crash. I'm like, oh, no, he's not trash. He's not trash. Let me walk that back for a second. But no, it's not that the Patriot way was ever not good, but the whole thing of give me a accurate quarterback that can run my offense and keep my team always in the game with a good defense and a good running game. And let's get a lot of smart, low-cost players that buy into my system. That whole thing is worked for a long time, but it's ringing hollow now, especially in the new NFL that is all fast-paced, explosive offense, big-time players making big-time plays, the quarterback being able to win and succeed outside of the pocket, like all of those things. I think it passed you by, Bill. I think the league is moved on from that style. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it was always trash and it never worked.
Well, I mean, yeah, the Super Bowls will tell you otherwise than that.
Right. It fucking worked. It worked for a long time.
Yeah.
But it ain't working
I
now.
get what you're saying. They're a team that's late to the party in terms of the new way the NFL's played. That makes sense. Okay,
and it ain't gonna work this week either. Vegas big time.
Okay. So Vegas, okay. Yeah, so funny actually. Kind of a revenge game for Jimmy G too, I guess.
Yeah, two teams ago.
Right, yeah. Call me crazy. New England with the upset.
Yeah, and that can very well happen, right? Because Bill is McDaniel's daddy.
Josh McJigglebits, he sucks.
He's terrible, bro. Did you see that field goal? The one of the most pussy play calls I've ever seen. 4th and 1. in a must-have moment and you kick a field goal, you still end up winning the game because Jordan Love was awful.
I can't stand his coaching decisions. He coaches like a fucking idiot. It's amazing that guy's a head coach.
Find you a man that looks at a 4th and 1, or looks at you like Josh McDaniels looks at a 4th and 1 field goal. Damn it, I fucked up my pun. All right, are we ready to move on to Philly at Jets?
Yeah, I mean, this game hasn't started, and I'm ready to move on from it. So yeah.
Yeah, for real, bro. So Philly's favored on the road. Surprise, surprise. It's a 41 over under. With the Jets, for me, it's a pretty easy conversation. It's G Willie and Big Bad Brees and nobody else. And I think that they're pretty much like it's funny for me to say that Garrett Wilson is matchup proof, but like he kind of is matchup proof because he's a low ceiling wide receiver 2 now with Zach Wilson, but that doesn't really change regardless of the matchup. So like that's what I mean by matchup proof. And Brees can hurt you on any given toe. So
yeah, I mean that's the only 2 players you're starting there. Pretty cut and dry. So Philly, I mean, they're pretty cut and dry too.
Swifty, AJB,
you start your dudes.
Yeah. You can always start Goddard, obviously, because of the tight end landscape. He had a big week last week.
Finally.
Yeah, finally. Here's the one topic again, and we've touched on this, I think, in every game with these wide receiver 2s. Is Devontae still an automatic start in a bad matchup? I mean, this is 3 down weeks in a row, single digits, AJB being greedy, low over-under game. Of course, like he will end up starting on a lot of teams because of lack of options. But like, I guess with these players, I just always look at them and like try to figure out where do we see them now? Like Devontae Smith is no longer the borderline wide receiver 1. So like, what is he to our teams now?
I think he's a locked-in wide receiver 2. I think you're pretty much starting him every week, unless you have crazy options. Like maybe you're a team that drafted Cooper Kupp after the bad news and you got him in a 3rd or 4th round or something like that, and he's back. Okay, then maybe you can afford to not start Devonta Smith. But like realistically, the overwhelming majority of teams are going to be starting Devonta Smith, and I think that Devonta Smith can actually have a good game here. I like the way this game projects for Devonta Smith. I think that he's going to have a couple big plays, and I think I'd put him like, just to throw out a stat line, like 7 catches, 110, and a touchdown. Like I think he's going to have.
Well, the Devontae Smith managers really hope you're right, man, because I guess when I ask these questions, it really is silly. Of course, people are starting him. It just bums me out. I just wish that there was more balance and that there was more passing accuracy and volume in the offense right now to support both of them.
Yeah, when you're not the top option on a team that railroads people, runs the ball well, like in those games where Philly can railroad you quickly, they don't need to get Devonta Smith involved because he's not really the possession guy. He's the big play guy, and then you've got guys like Goddard and, of course, Brown, who can be everything, but he's more of the chain-moving kind of receiver. They're going to use him in those short
yards. They can move the chain in 2 runs.
Yeah, exactly. If they can do that, and then they get to 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, and then that play is accounted for. That's going to be the bitch push. So you're right. He doesn't project as well, I think, in blowout games, but when you think it might be a little closer, a little tighter, I think that's when, all right, let's drop a big play to Devontae. That's kind of how I see it.
Fair, but again, nothing actionable. Like
right, you're still going to start him, right?
Do you think there's an upset at Jet Life?
Hell no. You think Zach Wilson's going to be able to handle that pressure, dude? No.
No, I don't think so. But I will say this: maybe not this game. Philly's asking for an upset. The way they've been playing the last few weeks,
It'll happen.
They're too good to just outright get smacked or lose, big or whatever. They're too talented for that. But they've been playing with their food. They haven't necessarily been as dominant as last year. They're asking somebody to upset them. I don't think it's going to be this week, but it's going to happen at some point.
It will. It will.
Detroit at Tampa Bay. I will not be at this game because I cannot be in two places at once. Nor can I make it all the way across the state in an hour. But we got Detroit road favorites at Tampa, over under 43.5. Evans is still not practicing. That's not ideal. Obviously, Godwin's a smash start if Mikey doesn't go. Rashad is always in. That's kind of like the auto starts on the Tampa side.
I would say if you can get away from Rashad White, this is not a good game for him.
I don't see it as a good game. I just don't with the running back landscape the way it is. I just don't know that there's going to be very many high volume running backs.
Maybe if you have kind of one of these waiver wire pickups that has a good matchup, you can do that over Rashad White. You can do that. I don't know. I think Rashad's going to struggle. This is a good run defense with Detroit.
I think Chad, dude, I think we're debating about nothing because I think Chad is a borderline RB2, regardless. But I think he'll be fine. He gets enough in the passing game to float, what is going to be a tough front. And Tampa does not want to do what they did last year. They are not that kind of team anymore. They're not going to be all pass all the time. They want to, despite the poor matchup, they want to try to establish it. They won't really against this team, not in any significant way. And for what it's worth, I think they win this game. Obviously, to me, that is largely dependent on the health of the Buccaneers because it's Mike Evans and a couple of other guys that are on the bubble in terms of who we get back. I think Kalijah Cansey, we're trying to get him back into the D line. So to a healthy Tampa Bay, I think protects their home turf against Detroit. That's a little bit of fandom in me, but also just looking at the fact of I think Detroit's coming off of a week where they're feeling themselves beat up on a pathetic Carolina team and is still banged up in their own right. But getting into the Detroit side, Andrew, obviously David, Barry Sanders, LT Montgomery is a smash start, regardless of the tough matchup because of his volume and this great offensive line. Amon-Ra is practicing. Looks like he's going to go, so start him. Laporta's always in. Gibbs is not practicing. I'm not sure if he's going to play or not. I'm not starting him even if he is.
Him right now.
But that's okay, though, because given Detroit's history, the week that he comes back from his hamstring, he's going to get 30-plus touches. So it'll be great. It'll be a smash start when he does come back. That's sarcasm for all of you at home.
Weeks later, and you're still smelling all the bath salts.
Mm-hmm.
My God.
So I gave you my rundown of this game, but what are you thinking?
I think you try to avoid Jared Goff. Can. Tampa Bay's got still kind of a sneaky good defense. His road splits are a real thing. So, yeah, I would stay away from Goff if possible. Of course, you start Amon-Ra, like you said. Montgomery's an auto start right now. Laporta's an auto start right now. Everybody else, I don't know. I kind of wouldn't mess around with them. We're waiting to see if Jamison Williams is gonna ever be a real thing.
Good old whiskey dick.
Old whiskey dick. We don't know.
Yeah, I don't think Tampa's sneaky anymore. I think they're actually good on defense. Winfield, dude, is like one of the best safeties already.
Yeah, he's awesome.
In the league.
I'm gonna take Detroit though. I think you're gonna get Bad Baker. This is gonna be a week for Bad Baker.
Oh well, I've that's definitely something that can happen. I have no doubt of it. The Baker experience for me is I feel like I've been playing that Mario Party game with the bomb and just throwing it back and forth. I don't know. There's going to be. I'm very happy with what Baker's done in Tampa, and I think that
hot bomb.
I think that Tampa's going to win the division with Baker, which is great. And especially awesome. Because there's some, there's some good schedule things coming up down the line, but that bad Baker game's coming. I don't know if it's going to be this game. It very well could be, but we're throwing that bomb back and forth, and it's at some point it's going to explode. It might very well be this game.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I think Baker's going to get pretty railroaded by this defense. Okay.
I just hope he saves it for one more game.
Yeah, and like you said, Mike Evans makes a big difference. If he's not there,
on that.
Yeah.
Obviously, if Mike Evans does not play, that changes my prediction. That's how pivotal of a player I think Mike Evans is. All right. Zona in Los Angeles to play the Rams. Home favorites by 7, 48.5. For Zona, obvious starts, Hollywood, Ertz. And that's it for the obvious starts, because we don't have an obvious start anymore. Because homeboy, their coach, Gannon, threw a little bit of a stink bomb into our lineup decisions by naming Keontae Ingram the starter after everybody ran out and got DeMarcado. Andrew, we buying that?
I don't buy depth charts, man. Van Jefferson was the number one on the Rams depth chart for.
I know we're going to talk about that too.
Right, and we didn't even talk about him because he's now in Atlanta. We didn't even talk about that, but because it's no point. You mean?
Right, exactly. He's going to be. It's like as if they needed more receivers to not catch passes in Atlanta.
Yeah, right. Is he good at blocking? I don't. Maybe he's.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
But so yeah, this game, I don't buy the depth chart thing. I think that's more of like a respect thing because he's been there the longest.
So you're feeling like DeMarcado's the start. You're feeling good about that.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Keontae coming off of a neck injury, he wasn't particularly impressive even when he was playing last year. I would go with DeMarcado, but I just don't have a lot of confidence for running backs in this offense playing against the Rams that are not named James Conner. I am concerned about that, but if a fantasy owner grabs DeMarcado, that means they probably need him. So you put your big girl pants on and you throw them in the lineup, I guess. Anything else on the Zona side, or you want to move to LA?
Don't give up on Wilson just yet.
No, it's you gotta kind of build consistency, right? He was more of a stash than a smash.
Yeah. I'd say if you have the roster spot, keep him on your bench. Don't run out and get some other rando just because he didn't have a good second follow-up game.
He's got juice, and they like him over there.
Rams, man, one of the most interesting, fun teams with a lot of surprises on it this year.
For sure, a ton of surprises. I wasn't surprised about the Cam Akers thing, but I was surprised about the Puka thing. Kupp, Puka, Kyron, they're all in. Obviously we got duped. I was 100% wrong about the Van Jefferson thing.
Tutu's flexible too.
Yeah, he's a flex option. I'm just I'm just worried, right? Because there's only going to be so many points in a game, and like everybody else seems a little bit more like established in their roles. So Tutu is a guy you can flex, but I personally would like somebody with a higher floor. But he's taken over that role though. The whole like cardio down the field role, like one week to the next, it was Van Jefferson all the time, and then goodbye.
Yeah.
It's Tutu all the
I mean,
time.
he's a guy who's on the field a lot, who's capable of big plays. That always makes somebody a flex worthy start.
Yeah.
If you have to, because I mean he's capable of a big play.
I love Stafford this week.
Stafford is a good start.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think he's definitely a top 12 start for me. I haven't looked at it in depth like that, but he could even be a top 10 option for me because he's got all these weapons, right? Cup's awesome. Puka's really good. Kyron's effective, I think is the nice way to say it, in his role. So yeah, I think Matt Staff is back to being his like, I'm gonna gunsling, I'm gonna make it happen, and he's good for probably 2 touchdowns at least. One quick thing that I did see on the old X, they had this, I think it was a TikTok going around that showed Cooper Kupp back at practice, and they were like hyping up. It's like, oh, look at all of our receiving options. They had Cooper and Puka running the same. It was like a hip mobility drill around these tires, and they were like hyping up both of them. But like, I think that it was an unintentional dunk from their social media team on Puka, because like it was like the most obvious thing of like, oh, that's why Cooper Kupp is Cooper Kupp. You know what I'm saying? Like the comparison between the two guys, like he ran that shit in like a fast amount of time with like the smoothest and fluid hips you would see, just like bust through it. You could rest a porcelain teacup on his head, and then Puka does the same thing, and it's all like choppy and like and like all over the place or whatever. But like obviously Puka's really good too. I think he's legit. It's just we forget sometimes that like that dude is that fucking dude for a reason, and Cooper Kupp is that dude.
I mean, he's proved it over many seasons, Okay.
Anything else here? We ready to pick this bitch?
Pick it.
It's the Rams for me. Zona's been scrappy. I don't hate what they've got going on, but the Rams are the better team. They're going to take advantage of the matchup. They're at home. Give me the Rams.
Zona upset.
Woo-hoo!
Division game. The LA does not really have a home field advantage because they don't have real fans.
Yeah, that is the funny thing about LA not including the Lakers is it is like it's just a terrible place to go like consume sports. Like it's overpriced stadium food, the drinks are out of control.
Yeah.
You get fans from because everybody moves to LA because it's nice, right? Like so you get fans from like every other team there.
Ridiculous taxes and property. Whatever.
Yeah. So,
anyways, if you're rich, you move there.
I will say dunking on LA is something I like to do, but the Rams have more fans than the Chargers. The Chargers have 0 fans. The Rams do have some fans.
But yeah, I think, this is one of those games where I could see Arizona being scrappy and their inexperienced defense, who is fun and scrappy for the Rams, kind of just putting up a dud, just being young and looking past this Arizona team, and they come out and kind of smash them. I don't think they're going to be a blowout, but I'm going to take Arizona in an upset.
Somebody has to get upset this week, and unfortunately, the Chief is very chalk in his picks. Traditionally, that's me, but I think I don't know. I'm just taking the Rams just because I feel like I have to take the better team. But yes, there are upsets every week. There's going to be upsets here too. But let me tell you about a game that will not end in an upset.
Are you sure?
And yes, I am very, very sure. Sunday Night Football.
Oh,
New York Giants at Buffalo, New York. Neg 14 is the line with 44 and a half. Everybody on Buffalo is in. Duh. Everybody that you were going to start anyways.
What D3 college is the Giants?
Yeah, it's what do you call it? The Syracuse Giants or the
might as well be Bishop Sycamore at this point.
Oh God, dude. Yeah, I think it's gonna be bad, man. It's gonna be bad. One bummer thing for Buffalo, I'm sure you know, their defense got absolutely devastated. Really the last 2 weeks, but especially on Sunday. Milano went to IR. That sucks for them. He was like the heart of that defense. Daquan Jones is out. They're already down Trey White in another corner. So, I don't know if that's going to really be a problem for them this game, but that's going to be a problem for them going forward in this season.
Absolutely, but they're playing the team that poses no threat. So,
yeah, it's tough. Saquon's practicing. If he plays, he's in.
Got to start Saquon.
Waller, DNP on Wednesday. He's insisting that he's still going to play. They're going to need him to try to keep up. They won't, but they're going to need to pass the ball to try to keep up. So if he's in, he's a tight end. Sure, why not?
I mean, 5 for 60, and you're happy with it from a tight end.
Right, exactly. So I guess pick this game.
I mean, this one's really just a matter of by how much. Like, do the Giants cover the spread? Do they not? 14 points is a ton.
Yeah, 14's a hell of a spread.
As much as the Giants suck complete butter, like they are still an NFL team with a few good players.
Well, that's why Vegas sets the line, right? 14 is like the law of gambling says 14 is too much. You got to take 14.
Once again, this is a potential backdoor cover. Yeah. Like they'll be down by 20, but then they'll score like we don't care. The third stringers are in defense with with like 2 minutes left, whatever. That could happen. But yeah, I mean the Giants are just kind of a lost cause of this year, and they're trying out every offensive lineman there's available out there right now. And I'm happy for that because maybe you find a diamond in the rough, but it's rare, but it's better than letting Evan Neal get his fucking fat ass smashed to the ground or block air. Anyways, I don't want to
block his own teammate.
I don't want this to turn into a Giants pathetic rant.
I don't want to keep doing this to you, man. I know that talking about the Giants bums you out. We can just move on.
You start Danny. I'm sorry, excuse me. You do not start Danny. You start Saquon. You can start Waller. You should start Waller, honestly, if he's available. If Daniel Jones doesn't play, you don't love any part of it. You still already don't love any part of the Giants, but though those are startable assets in Waller and Saquon. Other than that, you can't start anybody. Bills. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs are auto starts. Everybody knows that. Gabe Davis has pretty much played himself into
yeah, dude.
I'm consistent now. Fuck off with this up and down. That's my reputation. It's not that. He's had 4 games with a touchdown in a row.
Just in time for me to have given up on him. He figures it out. He gets some consistency.
Yeah. So start him. Really start.
He still likes to drop the ball in big spots. I know.
Doesn't matter, dude. The Giants defense is not really much resistance.
Yeah.
They love giving up big plays. James Cook is the start. Like you can,
Everybody send him in. Send him in.
yeah. I
Send in
mean,
Lat Murray. Who cares? Let's do it.
so yeah. I mean, that's really it, and it's going to be another embarrassment on prime time for the Giants. So last game, man.
I don't mean to dunk, bro. It is just funny
I
hearing you
don't
talk
care
about it.
anymore at this point, dude. I'm not gonna. I can't defend this team.
But I will say this: if this isn't gonna, this has nothing to do with it. It's not gonna make you feel any better. But I just realized I am a puss. I have not picked one upset this
I know.
entire.
I've noticed that, and I'm like, I'm not trying to force upsets, but there's bound to be some.
Oh, you're right. You're right. So it's going to be a very cold take for me unless Chalk wins the day. But you know what? I'm picking an upset in this game. I don't even care that I wasn't originally planning to do it, but I'm going to do it because I have to, because I haven't picked any other damn upsets. But Dallas at LAC, road favorites by 2. Monday Night Football.
Chargers are the away team, believe it or not.
Prime time. Yeah, exactly, right? Because Dallas fans travel, and LAC fans don't even travel to their own stadium.
They're just everywhere.
Right.
Dallas fans.
Oh, I know you love those. Tony P is obviously in. CD is meh, but you got to play him. Is James Ferguson in every week starter territory yet for tight ends, or are we still kind of piddling around with him?
Who?
Ferguson. Dallas Cowboys tight end.
You might have. I know who he is. I mean, you might have better options because he was more of a pickup.
I don't.
Well, he's a good play.
I have Kyle Pitts.
He's a good play for volume. Yeah, I like Ferguson in this game, but yeah, that's really it. Their secondary receivers are kind of blah. Like Michael Gallup is okay, but he's not someone you're excited to start. So,
this is a get right matchup for Dallas's offense. I think it's a good spot. Like, if you're desperate, you might look at Dak, but I really wouldn't. But I just think the Chargers defense is not good. And I think Dallas's defense is going to have to do more because we are going to have the return of Austin Eckler, most likely.
Yeah.
Which is a huge shot in the arm for this offense. Like, we've seen the splits. We know what the Chargers look like with Eckler and without Eckler. He's a big boon, really, to the passing game.
Sure.
And it makes their running game, you said it earlier, right? It makes their running game fucking usable. Like, their running game was trash with Josh Kelly.
Yeah, I'm with you. I will take the Chargers in this game. I think that Dallas, even though they have a very good defense,
and they should be coming to this game pissed off after being like absolutely roadshowed by San Fran.
Yeah, I think LA getting a great weapon back is big for them. I think that they have the weapons now with Eckler to be a lot for their defense.
And their O-line pass pro is pretty good. Like, obviously, Michael Parsons is built different, but they're pretty good.
Yeah, Herbert has time. Back there a lot. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Micah Parsons is who he is. He's a great pass rusher. They've got a good defense, but I don't know. I just feel like I feel like LA is gonna step up, and their defense, it's not good, but neither is Dak, and I think Dak is in a rut right now, and he's gonna stay there and kind of like give the game to LA. LA is good about not closing games out. So it could be a fun one.
It's going to be the battle of who chokes.
It could be a fun one, but I'm going to take LA.
I'm taking LA too.
Herbert's going to outduel.
Yeah, I think. Well, he's going to outduel Michael Parsons because he doesn't have to outduel Dak because Dak isn't good enough to duel with him. But
He doesn't even accept the duel. That's disrespect. My
Yeah.
God.
I think it's going to come down to, I think the Dallas tragedy is going to be, I think Dak actually plays well, but fucks the game away on the last drive.
That would be some shit. Prediction. That would be, I mean, I don't watch this guy, but you can't help but completely avoid him. If you watch any kind of sports content, Stephen A. Smith have a field day.
Oh yeah. I mean, I thankfully I avoid the main media outlets now, but every so often he'll pop up on my timeline.
And, right. Yeah. The clips are gonna show up for you on.
It's like if you're a Giants fan, like Stephen A. is, like, are you really in a position to be grave dancing? I don't think so. But that's neither here nor there. He does it for the content.
It's kind of just like misery loves company.
Yeah. Fair.
So yeah, you ready?
I think so. I mean, it's funny that I have to elevate my voice after talking for almost 2.5 hours, but I will do my best. We'll see if we can go for it.
Do you have
Andrew? I have marked the time.
I was talking about guaranteed.
Well, I'm talking about the home team hustle.
Do you want
to guarantee first or
Yeah. You got yours ready this time?
I'm always ready.
Okay. Then hit me with one.
Give me Dame Harris again.
Doubling down on Dame Harris.
I'm doubling down. Dude, it has to happen, especially in these smash matchups, particularly this smash matchup. They got to give this dude a tud. What else did you bring him in for?
That's funny, man. That's funny. Because you know who mine is?
Who?
Latavius Murray.
Should this be another garbage bet? Should we garbage bet this?
Okay.
Lat Murray versus
yeah, let's do that. But I wouldn't be surprised if they each get one, which will be a push. Whoever gets more of the two.
Okay. And if we push, we push.
We push. Yeah. Okay.
We'll add this to the shit list.
Shake on that one. Okay.
Shake on it.
Gotcha.
This is so stupid.
All
right. You got a guaranteed receiver?
Yep. You are going to see this man score against your team live, Christian Kirk.
Okay. Now, embrace debate here, but Christian Kirk is an every week starter. Is that a worthy addition to the guaranteed?
I think so. I think he's more of a wide receiver too. I think if you say I think Cooper Kupp's going to score a touchdown, that's kind of bullshit. He's not scoring 20 points a week. Plus, we got to win some of these, man. We got to get some of these right.
No, you're right. Man, who am I guaranteeing? Fuck it. Give me Josh Palmer.
Nice.
I think he grabs one.
I like that. I'm gonna make honorary mention here. It's time for Zay Flowers to get in the end zone too, man. But that's not gonna count for it.
I have mixed feelings about that now.
All right, everyone's favorite tight end.
Mm-hmm.
You got one?
Yes.
Don't say Kyle Pitts again.
I don't want to. You know what? I'm switching mine. I'm changing mine. I don't want to do this one anymore. Luke Musgrave.
Luke Musgrave. Nice. I'm pretty sure the Packers are on bye, so that's a really bad pick.
Oh yeah, fuck.
But you're stuck with it.
No, I was looking at the Denver matchup for next week. My bad. Do whatever. Is Dalton Kincaid gonna play? Give me Dalton Kincaid. I'll double down on the Bills. I think they're throwing for 5.
Fair. So they're gonna get 7 touch. All right, it's definitely possible. I'm going with Logan Thomas. I think Logan Thomas is gonna get another touchdown.
You take chalkier guarantees than I do. I make them more random.
if you say so. Okay. So now are you ready? And do you am I gonna intervene at all, or is this all you? I don't want to mess with it.
You know what? That's actually a good idea. Next time we do this, I'm gonna have you set up your back and forth. I had these pre-prepared the other night, so like I'm prepared with mine. But that's a good point. It shouldn't only be me as fake Chris Berman. Next time we'll split them.
All right. Well, it's all you, man.
All right. So we get in the zone here. Terrible podcasting. And in tonight's home team hustle, as we review week 5 of the league, we had some great matchups. We had some shit matchups. But as always, we had tight buttholes. In the first matchup, we had Tyler versus Chris. Tyler looks across that field and says, "You got a purty mouth, boy." Jamar Chase and Brock give Chris the prison business for a landslide victory, 163 to 105. In the next matchup, we have LJ versus Bobby. There are officially no more undefeated teams in our league. In this epic battle of quad stacks, the LJ Rams had a tight battle with the Londonville Jaguars, 120 to 105. Bobby won the battle, but lost the war when Justin Jeff goes down to IR. Oof Town Population U. In the third matchup, we have Jeremy versus Andrew. Sengoku comes back to life from the dead, but he still won't raise those kids, Chi-Chi. Jeremy's squad takes care of business against the little tank that can't, behind Hertz and a hilariously bad performance out of Drewski's team, 99 to 84. In the fourth matchup of our league, Paul versus BJ. Juan wishes there was less of DJ Moore as he started the week off getting hit with a haymaker, 45 points, and PK never looks back, 150 to 119. In the final matchup, Kaysen versus Kyle. Kaysen is indeed in big trouble as his team puts up an absolutely feeble and pathetic 63 points. Kyle's lucky he didn't need much because he only had 89 himself. Defend wins championships, am I right?
You're right, sir. You're right. Fantastic, fantastic, man. Some really shitty performances. A lot of injuries, and we keep on chugging along. At least I do. The little tank that can't, because he's now going to be out. Good times. Well, that's been an episode. It's been fun. It's been real. Good debates, and try not to veto too much.
Veto if you want to. It's your league, your way. Love you all. Buenas noches.
Veto Corleone sends his regards. Peace.